Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In case you all didn't know, today is my birthday. And while I wanted to do something big and fun, there was honestly something that happened during the video shoot this week. And there was something telling me inside to let this be a video to reflect on how far you've come. And honestly, I want to use this video to be a bit candid because in the process, when I look back on it and I realize how far I've come, it's been so amazing, you know? And it's really only God to thank for that. It's only God who has done so much for me and who has brought me from where I was before to where I am now, who allowed me to invest in my passions and take them and let them help me do stuff that I enjoy doing, and I could finally experience a certain level of satisfaction and joy again, almost unquestionably, for once, in the midst of everything that's going on. And I just wanted to take this video to talk about that. And I know a lot of people are going to jump on and say, well, God doesn't exist, or how could he do this? And even if you're going to dismiss that, I at least want you all to watch the video, because honestly, when I reflect, so much of my life has changed so drastically that I still kind of believe it to this day. And in case you didn't know, the channel's not big enough to be that way. So how is it that my life has changed so drastically? And I really just want to be able to reflect, take this video to reflect on everything. If you all didn't know, growing up, I was suffering mentally. And during that time, I had been diagnosed multiple times, but the diagnoses that always stuck around was Asperger's and anxiety. And I mean, I've also had seizures with that. And all of this was like the perfect storm of awful, because with Asperger's syndrome, you don't really know how to socialize well. And with anxiety, you just feel like off. You feel mentally off, like as if there's so much overload that you feel sick, and to the point where it becomes like physical pain in your head. And it leaves you asking, why is this happening? I should be able to have I should be able to have a normal or normal-ish life. Why is it that I'm going through this? And then you just wrap that up with seizures, and it creates like basically a perfect storm of awful, especially when a seizure should happen. And the whole time with me growing up, my social situation was never the best. You know, I the whole thing with the vlogs is that they don't tell the complete story behind the scenes, and the whole reason for that is because the vlogs are my passion, or it's part of me expressing my passion through video, but it's also meant to be something that I could come back to on a positive note. And I just want to explain that real quick, because a lot of times there's stuff that happens behind the scenes that just isn't good, or that happens off camera. That's a better way to say it, off camera. So growing up, I found it hard to not only make friendships but keep them. And honestly, I haven't been I wasn't feeling good growing up. It actually put me into a state of low self-esteem. And then when you combine that with several other factors in my life, it becomes kind of hard to be like, I want to stay in this. It's like, because when your self-esteem is knocking you, and then on top of that, you're being treated kind of like an outsider, and not just that, but you're not being given a proper chance. It really hurts, and I don't know how else to express that. In all honesty, there were several takes before this to get it right, because in case you didn't realize, one, I'm ad-libbing, and two, this is basically one shot, because at the same time I'm kind of talking from the heart. I don't want to make it scripted, this whole thing, but it wasn't like even easy. And the only thing that I had to escape to was the fact that I loved doing videography, and the fact that there were at least some people who stuck by me even up to now. You know, people who check up on me, people who message me, who keep up, but it's not like what you'd expect. And even then, they also have their own lives, you know. And while you're battling this whole anxiety thing, low self-esteem thing, I didn't even know what to do. And keep in mind, all this was before 2018. This was before college, and after the fact, even after the fact, in college, things weren't better, and I seriously don't know how to respond. I didn't know how to respond to that, rather, because imagine after the graduation, you're still seeing people like hanging out with you, and these are like the core guys, and you're questioning all of that. It's just shaky, and again, the whole time is like when you're thinking about this and you realize how outcasted you are, sometimes because of your mental state, sometimes because people don't see you a proper way, because maybe because it's this weird guy holding his camera, vlogging the entire time, when that's my outlet. That vlogging and video production has always been like my outlet. Even saying it out loud, there's something that I will get to in the next part, you know, because I've always enjoyed media. I've been passionate for it. But the whole time I've been feeling sick, I've had a sense of low self esteem because I couldn't compare up to anybody, or because, you know, there were probably people who made me feel less of myself. And you're suffering with anxiety on top of that. So your whole situations, heck, even down to like, I'm just gonna say it, junior year was like the worst year of my life, because right before I returned to school, my doctor gave me a new set of medication that made my situation so much worse. I was suicidal for parts of that year. I was not my best for that year, and for going to a Christian school, I really don't know how to say it. You know, I don't. And you know what? I think it's best if I just jump to the good parts about this, because honestly, it's so hard to talk about all of this, because anxiety is something, mental health is something that's so hard to live with, because one, it's harder to diagnose than most other things, and two, when you get the diagnosis wrong, you might end up suffering even worse. But honestly, there was a whole silver lining to this, and this was even something that I was thinking about like earlier this week as I was posting on Facebook, and this is where the good parts begins to roll in. So it was after the graduation, like the Sunday after, I believe. My mom had come to visit for the grads, and one morning she wakes up and she's like, "Come, we're going to this church." It was the church that you've seen on the vlogs before, at least twice before, Healing Grace. And the whole thing about it was that it was already a welcoming atmosphere, but barring everything that has been happening at the beginning, because I don't think even remember the whole beginning. It felt so fluid transition ish, you know, being able to join everything and do a lot of stuff within the church, but not just that, but it also felt so much easier to integrate as a member of the family of the church. And honestly, when I look back on everything before, it because especially this year, I'm losing my word. Just give me a sec. Honestly, from the time I went into that church and from the time I started to commit to it, the more over time they started to show me my worth, and they had given me what I wanted or what I've been yearning for. Because one of the things back home is that I don't feel like as though I was given a straight shot at anything. They probably look at this kid and it's like, oh, he's all different, or he's all suffering with. Not suffering, you know what? No, I had a weird behavior growing up, and I can't blame them for that. And the whole thing about it is just that throughout this whole thing, God has been giving me a chance to actually start fresh. He gave me a chance to kind of be able to start from not necessarily square one, but new church, new beginning, new company. And there's a lot of stuff that's been happening, especially as of recent, that has been growing my faith in not only Christ, but also been making me feel better and helping me to grow in parts that I didn't know that I needed growth in. I guess what I'm trying to say is that God has been doing a lot for me through this. I don't think that mom made that decision on her own, and if she did, she would have gone with the mega church. If it was her, she would have gone to the big church. At least that's the way I'm thinking about it. I could be wrong, and you know, because during the graduation, she saw the big church across the street, and yet she settled on the little church. And I don't want to conflate the size because, again, I'm really trying to watch what I'm seeing here, because the whole thing about it is just God used all of that to kind of springboard me into positions where, come September of that year, I would end up leading practical needs, which is a division of the outreach, which gives us a chance to help out people who need help. I would be able to actually work in youth ministry, where when I look at back home and see that, you know, I don't think I would have ever been given that back home. But the youth pastor here welcomed me with open arms, and that was one of the most heartwarming things ever. And then on top of that, because of my position there, not because of my position, but more so because I was a youth leader there, or a youth volunteer. The term is interchangeably. I don't even know which one to use. But because I was a youth volunteer there, I ended up meeting a bunch of really awesome, really cool people who are close to me now, who check up, who socialize. One of the best things that I'm gonna bet is gonna happen within the next year is that road trip that we are planning. Which, by the way, I'm vlogging, but it was the mere fact that I was invited to that trip in the first place, and it wasn't merely that I pushed it on anybody else. I mean, I know I've been kind of pushy on the details of that trip, but it's because I guess I'm thorough. But and even though there is the underlying fear of committing the same mistakes, they keep giving me the reassurance that they're going to be there, and so far I've seen it. Because let's face it, I have made mistakes. I have probably made mistakes within the church, and I'm just grateful that nothing I've done yet has made anybody dislike me, hopefully. And this has been such a heartwarming thing. And again, if you're probably asking, oh, well, how does God play into this? God has been giving me a spirit of joy that I haven't felt in such a long time. Because one, I'm serving. Two, I have people who actually care for me and who include me. And it just feels so nice. And I don't even know how to say it. And even then, before that, I could see that God was always like positioning me And now that I'm at that place, I could see that everything that's been happening before has been leading up to this moment. First of all, the whole anxiety thing, that is to create the better testimony that comes out at the end of it. One thing that I've heard him say is that you are under attack because you are a threat to the devil. And I know that sounds silly until you realize, like a few weeks ago, there was this whole prayer circle. Everybody was around me. I was suffering with low self esteem again because I was still figuring out my position in the church. Because again, I'm the kind of guy who likes to get into stuff, and everybody encompasses me. And this one person, this new person to the church, I have never met her before. This is the first time I'm meeting her. She tells me that God told you why you're under attack before, because you're a threat. And those were the same words that God told me why I'm under attack. And then on top of that, when you go even further into it, you realize that the whole time he was setting things up. The friends that I have back home now, they're minimal, but at the same time, they're people who I met because God placed them in my life, or God placed me in a situation where I met them. Like, I don't even know how to, that was a long pause just now, but it was me contemplating if I should say their name on camera, but you all know who they are. They're unafraid to say it. Like, the day that I met Naya was um the first lessons class, the first tutor class that we had attended. 100 students attend this class, and for some reason I stuck out. I stuck out, and a bunch of stuff happened. And honestly, she's been a good reminder to me that of how good God is on a whole. You know, I can't pick of just one thing because God put her in my life as a reminder to me. And then in the same token, there's there's a whole bunch of other people who he puts in who's still like at least around, and I'm so grateful for that. But along the way, I also lost a lot of people along the way, especially with the move and stuff. And coming back home, or going back home rather, this Christmas was probably one of the saddest things ever. It was a confirmation to me that I'm no longer where I was supposed to be. If I ever had the thoughts of going home, that was the nail in the coffin to kill that thought. And on top of that, when I look at it, I was not meant to stay in Trinidad for long. I actually left a year before the official, like 7 years of high school. We normally do like 5 years of O levels, then 2 additional years to get your A levels. Me and somebody else left in the 6th year after being accepted into that program. And even though ORU wasn't the best, it wasn't meant to be a permanent thing. It was just meant to be a springboard to get me from one place to another. To another. That springboard was from home, from Trinidad to Oklahoma. Get acclimated with the place, and even in your suffering, you're gonna be okay. And then my mother coming up and being the guide for me to go to this church now is, it's just been God guiding over the course of those years, and He's been helping me gain the strength to deal with the anxiety. He's given me a proper doctor who's helping me, and although I still get the peaks and all that, it's not as bad as before because there's no longer like the temperament. The there's no longer like the more bipolar-ish thing. There's no longer the seizures as bad as they were. My whole thing is how grateful I am to God in all of this, and I've met a lot of really awesome people, not only in the church but in this place that for once teaches grace and is a place for me to heal. And I know it's in the name, and I know it sounds like kind of cliche. It's in the name, but I heard the pastor's story through the grapevines, and hearing about how the church was formed, it was exactly what I needed in that season. And not just me, but there was a bunch of other people too who made their way to Oklahoma and Oklahoma to Tulsa, Oklahoma specifically, and made their way to this church. And to me, that's the key indicator that like God is working in these people, giving them this place specifically to heal. And as there's more people I know who are going out, their previous season is over and their new season is beginning. And as all of this happens, it's like it's miraculous, to come from a place of hurt, to come from a place where you felt like as though you're not wanted. And people have outright told me that you're not wanted. We do not want you here. Like legit, I remember one time, like on Saraha, people were harassing me. They were bullying me the entire time. And I know people look at me when I vlog and they're like, "Who's this weirdo?" But the whole time it's been me doing what I love, finding joy in my passion. And God is the one who encourages me. Even as I was starting this, one of the first failed takes was because, you know, I was under serious spiritual attack. Because the devil didn't want us to get out. And every slip up, I want to believe, was inching me closer and closer to getting me to see it the way I need to see it. God has been at work for these 23 years of my life. And I said it in the New Year's vlog that was released like previously during the season. And I'm going to commit to it. I'm not going to be afraid to say that I worship God. And the whole thing about it is that it's a relationship. It's not religion about it. And there's so much more I could say, but I think that this is a good point to end it on because I'm just so happy with where I am right now. And if anybody from the church is watching, just know that you have helped to make me. You have helped in God's plan to make me different, to make me a new person. It is because I'm surrounded with such awesome people who support me and who are there for me and who haven't rejected me yet. I don't even know how to continue with this. God has done a lot for me over the past 23 years, and I know He's going to continue to do more. And there's so much other stuff that I can't wait to share with you guys later and later. And as time moves on, and I'm just really excited for what's to come later on in all of this. This is just the beginning. I am so excited to share the birthday vlog because honestly, what I did was that these guys, well, you're just gonna have to see. You're just gonna have to see. A lot of the vlogs are going to introduce you to them more and more as time moves on, and I look forward to the summer vlogs, especially this year, because there's a lot of stuff that's gonna happen this year. And I'm glad that I could enjoy my passion in this way, and there are people who not only support me. I'm probably rambling at this point. I'm just gonna leave it like this. And honestly, I thank God that I was able to get done in this way because now this is the most comfortable I felt in all the takes as things were going on, and I really have to be grateful for how God allowed this to turn out. This 23rd birthday is gonna be like awesome, and my 23 years. I put back on the shades because like, why not? It's gonna be awesome. So guys, until then, I'll see you all in the next vlog, and I want to thank you all so much if you stuck through it to watch everything that I've said, to listen to what I've said. it means a lot. I look forward to everything that's gonna happen throughout my 23 years. Peace. Hold on.